Perry K. Jeffries, the third. And I'm gonna give you a little bit about Perry. All right, so Perry, he's a financial planner. I got all this stuff from your website. All right, he's a financial planner, asset manager, investing, insurance, retirement planning for individuals and business. He's a CFO who consults 6 to 8 figure entrepreneurs and small businesses. Cash management, profitability, debt reduction, retirement, tax planning. He is a 2022 Marketer of the Year. He's a former teacher, trainer. He's a current leadership and basketball coach, I think, to your twin daughters. Is that right? Are they here? Oh, his cute little daughters are here. And his beautiful wife is Sarah. Is she here? Hi, Sarah. Thanks for letting him come. Sarah, and they live in New Albany. So I'm going to ask y'all to give it up for my friend, Perry.
Thank you,
and
family.
And we'll take some notes because he got some fire to drop.
Thank you, family. Check, check. Nope.
You got your mic? No?
Check, check.
Check.
Check, check, check. All right. Let's have some fun, y'all. So I know that bio doesn't sound really exciting, but we're going to make it exciting. That fair enough? So before I get started, y'all, big shout out to Shauna here. So this is so powerful, family. What's so wild is we just met each other today. Like real talk in person for the first time today. We got connected on social media. And when she asked me to come out, I was like, say less. And after I had the opportunity to sit in the room and hear how passionate she is about helping people become their best selves, I was like, I'm definitely in the right room. So it's a couple things before I get into my talk here that I need to address. Let's talk about this DISC assessment first of all. So I don't know if you know this, but I'm a DISC coach. So my topic, I'm going to cover entrepreneurship leading to generational health. But before I get into it, I'm going to acknowledge the 3 most important people in my life sitting in the room right here. My wife, Sarah, and my twin daughters, Micah and Maddie. All right. But here's the deal. What's crazy about that exercise, with me being a DISC coach, we've ran the assessment on our entire family, and we are all exactly opposite. I'm the D, my wife is the S, Maddie is the I, and Micah is the C. Now, the deal with that is, with these different personality types, man, it could be a lot of conflict. But if you actually respect the personality types, it's a power team. And that's how I roll. This is my team right here. So it's a great segue actually into my talk, right? Because I'm talking about entrepreneurship. So while I go through this, I want you guys to think this way. Yes, Perry is going to talk about entrepreneurship. And quick show of hands, who has a business in here? All right, put your hands back down. Let me ask that question again. Who has a business in here? Put your hand back down. Next question. Who has a family in here? Everybody put their hand up. Who belongs to a family? If your hand is in the air, you're an entrepreneur, because the most important business you'll ever be a part of is your household. So the stuff I share with you today, take it for your business, your wealth creation, but more importantly, apply it to your family. Is that cool? All right. Now, with my personality type, I set a timer because I saw the agenda, and I've been timing all the speakers and everybody that ran over. I'm going to try to keep... So I'm going to go ahead and take me a liberty. That's that deep personality type? Yeah, I was like, oh, they all ran over. I only got 15 minutes and everybody ran over. So I'm going to take some liberties. I do have my timer, but if I go over, I'm not going to trip because I've been paying attention to the room.
Hey, Barry, you got another strong D right here.
I know that's right. We can get up here and do a freestyle together, sis. I like you. We're going to be friends for sure. All right, so first off, y'all, happy Juneteenth. We were literally, before coming here, getting ready for our J3. We call it the Jeffries Juneteenth Jamboree. We throw it in New Albany every year at our house. I think we have 100 people already reserved for it. And it's wild that I'm having this conversation and Shauna put her event on right on the back end of Juneteenth because it's about freedom. So we're celebrating freedom. So I don't think that's a coincidence. I'm gonna give you guys another date. July 8th, I got up, July 8th, 2014. I woke up, put on my suit, went to my corporate job. I got an email saying that there was a meeting scheduled that they wanted me to attend at 4:30. I showed up to that meeting. Unbeknownst to me, that was the day they let me go. Fired, right? And I was heartbroken. I was stunned. And I remember going to my manager at the time, and listen to this. I went to this other grown man, looked him in his eye, and I asked him, how am I supposed to provide for my family? This man looked me in my face. He said, Perry, I don't know, but you're sharp. I know you'll figure it out. You talk about mind blown. At that time, I had just kind of started dating my wife, right? We didn't have any titles yet. And a couple days later, while I'm dealing and trying to navigate with losing my job, and little backstory here, I had already lost everything already. In 2007 and 2009, y'all remember the Great Recession? Right? I had 25 doors. I had a $4 million real estate portfolio, family. Market went down. I got in a bad deal. Somebody got me for $400,000. I lost everything. This is 2009. Ask me what year my daughters were born. 2009. Imagine being a provider, broke, and having to look two children, newborns in the face, and think you have to provide for them, right? So when I lose this job in 2014, I am crushed. Fast forward a couple days, my lady's with me, and this particular night, we watched the movie Django. Y'all, who done seen Django? Don't y'all be quoting no scenes in here right now. Y'all wild for that. I know exactly where your mind went. Right, so we watched this movie Django. If you're not familiar with the movie Django, right, Jamie Foxx in the movie, the story is about, a free slave fighting to get his woman back. And the theme around the film is freedom, revenge, and justice, right? So I watched Django that night. I had seen it before. I think it was my lady's first time seeing it. And I woke up in the middle of the night. You have to ask her, maybe it was around 2 or 3 a.m. Boom, I just pop up. I startle her. She says, you okay? I said, man. She said, you need to talk? I said, yeah. She said, what's up? I said, I'm Django. She looked at me like, oh, Lord, here we go. Right? But what I did was I told her the story, and I said, so here's the deal with Django and me watching the movie. And with this being, Juneteenth, so important, right, that we connect the dots here. You see, when the slaves were emancipated, many stayed on this plantation. Did y'all know that? You know why they stayed on the plantation? They were conditioned to believe that they could not survive without the provision and the resources of the slave masters. That's how they were conditioned. So I took that, and when I watched Django that night, I didn't know it was going to hit me like that. So when I woke up at 3 o'clock, I realized I'm Django. I said, I will never go back to another plantation where someone can let me go after bringing in almost $1 billion in assets. Y'all don't understand, I was the man at the bank I was at. $1 billion in assets with my team, millions of dollars in revenue, and they let me go. I said, never again. I'm gonna take my 40 acres and a mule. Hope that don't go over nobody's head. I'm gonna take my 40 acres and a mule, and I'm gonna go own all of mine. Because guess what? Ownership is the only security you have. All right, so let's y'all clap it up. I'm about that life. I'll never ask that question again. So July 8th is Perry Jeffrey's Independence Day. All right? And it's coming up here soon. So fast forward about 10 years. Y'all don't know nothing about me. I'm about to share a little bit. This is not a flex in any way, shape, or form. This is just me telling you my story. A brother who been broke twice, had to start over twice. Had his Jaguar, there's some people in the room that know this back in the day, I had an all-white Jag with my name on it. I had to stand on my front porch when they repossessed it. I still had the license plate though like this. PKJ3. Y'all may have saw me back in the day, right? So today, I've built 4 six-figure companies simultaneously. I became a 2-time millionaire because I was a millionaire in my late 20s, early 30s. And with the help of my wife and my kids, we were able to hit that $1 million plus mark again, for sure. I created a framework to help high performers and income earners become financially free 10 to 30 years before scheduled retirement. And I want to make sure that don't go over y'all head. Because I retired my wife at 40. And I'm projected to be work optional before 50. Okay? Created that framework called our Wealthy Framework. I became a certified coach for John Maxwell, international coach, in the areas of personal growth and development, hence the DISC assessment coaching piece. To date, my largest clients are Amazon and Coca-Cola. I did a global leadership training for Amazon, global. Coca-Cola, I traveled the country going to plants, training their staff for productivity. Nothing to do with finances, y'all. Quick aside, people ask, well, Perry, why are you a John Maxwell coach in the areas of personal growth and leadership? That's because John Maxwell has a quote that I live by. Everything rises and falls with leadership, including your finances. If your paper ain't right, it's probably some personal growth you need to do. Let's keep the party going. I've traveled the entire state of Ohio and the country representing the state of Ohio as a workshop speaker for the Ohio Society of CPAs. And guess what, family? I'm not an accountant. But most of them in the state are my students. All right, stay with me here. And I ain't flexing, I'm just giving my testimony here. I gained international recognition as a coach being featured on the international podcast, Entrepreneur on Fire. I founded a podcast and community called Cash Flow Unlocked. I'm the president of Diamond Equity Advisors, a registered investment advisory firm. So I got fired from a firm. I didn't go work for another one. I made my own. Registered with the state of Ohio, governed under FINRA. I married that girlfriend. I retired her at 40. And as I was writing this, because I was like, man, they only got 15 minutes, so I need to write this one out. And I'm already about to be over in about 3 minutes, but we're gonna be okay, God is good. So here's the deal. I had this thought. It's a whole playbook. I retired my helpmate to give her more time to help us accelerate our wealth. When she retired being a massage therapist, she went through a phase like, what am I gonna do? Well, we figured that out. You're gonna actually go and start to build the real estate back up. In less than a year, she's acquired over $800,000 in rental properties. So here's the deal. I'm not saying this to flex in any way, shape, or form. I'm just keeping it 100 with y'all, right? So we talk about purpose. I went through the storms that I went through to get me to this place because my purpose is to help close the wealth gap. If you didn't know these numbers, it is projected by the year 2053 that Black and brown people will have 0 median net worth. 0. So guess what? All that I went through created my purpose. So let's get into this purpose provision. I'm about to go fast now. If you ain't taking notes, hopefully y'all taking mental notes or something because I'm about to give y'all the playbook. So when I got to this event, purpose and provision, and found out that my segment was entrepreneurship and building generational wealth, I said, okay, let's get the party going. My mentor, Myron Golden, says this: your income is a direct reflection of the value you bring to the marketplace, right? But your purpose Your purpose is something different. Your purpose is the problem you were born to solve. Write that down. Your purpose is the problem you were born to solve. You going through that storm was for a reason, right? So that sounds overwhelming. My brother said it over here. Actually, a couple of my brothers kind of said it, right? Like, man, you're going through this piece, you know what I'm saying? This is your purpose, right? Here's the deal. Any problem that you have solved for yourself, you can solve for somebody else. And guess what? You can monetize that and turn it into a business. Did y'all catch that? What problem have you solved for yourself? Even it's like, man, so I was thinking about this, you know what I'm saying, when my wife and my kids were getting a house ready for Juneteenth. I'll get to that in a second. I get excited. I'll come back to it. So any problem that you've solved for yourself is the same problem you can solve for others because you're unique. You may be a financial advisor, financial strategist, whatever the case may be, but how I'm going to help you is going to be different than somebody else because all of us are unique. Y'all got that? You're unique because of a couple things. Your story, your strengths, and how you service others. So that's your purpose, okay? Everybody good? Let's go on to the next piece as I was doing my research. Provision, when you break that word down, provision. I told you I was gonna go over. Provision. Pro means for. So provision means for the vision. Stay with me here. Provision don't show up to help you with your provision don't show up first and then you walk in your purpose. You start walking in your purpose and then provision shows up. And provision just ain't money. Provision is favor. Somebody say favor. Favor. Right? Provision is resources. Right? Say resources. So here's the deal, family. When you're walking in your purpose, the provision will reveal itself. That sound good? All right, let's keep the party going. So let's talk about now this wealth and entrepreneurship. So I'm gonna say this out the gate. I hate the term generational wealth because everybody, you ask 10 people what generational wealth is, you're gonna get 10 different answers. If we all have 10 different answers, how are we gonna work together to actually solve the problem? That makes sense? So I'm gonna give y'all kind of my definition of generational wealth. But let's first talk about this entrepreneurship piece. What is entrepreneurship? I'm gonna break it down here for you. Entrepreneurship is the act of turning your purpose into a solution that serves others. Y'all got that? That's what entrepreneurship is. But here's the deal. It has to be built on systems that create value, impact, and freedom. So here's the deal, family. You serve others by solving their problems, but you gotta have a system. Somebody say system. The reason this is super important, systems allow ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. Say that again. Systems allow ordinary people to achieve extraordinary results. You can be average, but if you're using a system, you can be extraordinary. That's what entrepreneurship is, right? So here's the deal. In 2007, there's an article I read. It said that entrepreneurship passed inheritance as the #1 wealth driver in America. What that means is this. Prior to 2017, what determined pretty much if you was gonna have wealth in the United States was what mom and them left for you. Land, real estate, insurance. In 2017, it became entrepreneurship. So the playing field has been leveled, but you gotta get this right, okay? So when we say get it right, this is what I mean. Make sure I got my notes here. I wanna make sure you guys get this. Entrepreneurship equals purpose plus systems plus service. So here's the deal. Everybody that raised their hand and said, do you own a business? Do you own a business or did you create a job? Oh, if you don't know the answer to that, I'll answer it for you. Here's a test. If you took 30 days off from your business, would you come back to a thriving business or would you come back to the doors being closed and no money? If you can't take 30 days off and come back to a business still thriving, you don't have a business, you have a job, or worse yet, you got to hustle. So that ain't creating generational wealth. You need a system. Y'all follow me? Say system. I'm almost finished. Y'all stay with me. So most people think they're building a business. They just build another job. So now that we understand what entrepreneurship is, let's talk about this word wealth, or this phrase generational wealth. Let me first tell you what it ain't. Your 401k ain't your wealth. Your savings account ain't your wealth. Brother, we do real estate, you know what I'm saying? Josh is, we do real estate too, we'll connect. But guess what? Your real estate portfolio ain't your wealth. Your business ain't your wealth. Those impact and create your net worth. But your wealth is a system. And write this down. Wealth is a system that produces three things: security, time freedom, and abundance. Let's break them down super quick. Security. Does my wife feel safe? Do my children feel safe, or are we stressed out about like what's gonna happen next? Ask that to your spouse, ask that to your kids. Do you feel safe? Let's have a transparent conversation. Peace of mind, stability. Let's talk about time freedom. Do you own your calendar, or do somebody else do? When I had to take my daughter to surgery, I didn't have to ask nobody, can I take my daughter to surgery? When I had to show up for my wife, I take, hey team, cancel my appointments, I gotta show up for my wife. Do you own your calendar? Because wealth is measured in time. If you were to stop doing what you're doing today, how long could you maintain your quality of life? That's how much wealth you have. You got, how much you got? You got 10 years? You got 2 weeks? Usually somebody say, P, man, I got 24 hours. If direct deposit don't hit, it's a wrap. And abundance, let's talk about this word abundance. Abundance simply means more than enough. We got more than enough for us to live on, and enough that I can give to somebody else. So that's how you know what wealth is. Wealth is a system that creates security, time freedom, and abundance. All right, y'all got it? Let's close this bad boy out. So we bring it all together, and I'm a math major, by the way, so I like equations. Entrepreneurship is the act of turning your purpose into a solution that serves others, right? And building the systems that support that while creating value, impact, and freedom. So here's the deal. If generational wealth equals security plus time, freedom, and abundance, right? And so if I'm thinking that way, I say, okay, P, what's a good equation here? Purpose times systems equal wealth. Say that. Purpose times systems equal wealth. Walking in your purpose with the right systems provides wealth, which is time freedom, security, and abundance. Wealth equals security plus time freedom and abundance. So if two things are equal to the same thing, that means that those two things are equal to each other, right? Let me give you this math. So the math says purpose times systems equals security, time, freedom, and abundance. When you take the gifts that you were born with and the challenges that you've endured, that's how you go out and create generational wealth. Because generational wealth, family, is just another way of saying, are you passing on the system to create wealth? It ain't your 401k, family. It ain't your life insurance, family. Are you teaching the next generation the system to create wealth? And that's how you create generational wealth. Y'all got it? Okay, cool. Let's get this bad boy up out of here. Close up right now. So here's the deal. July 8th, 2014, my Independence Day. I got fired about 4:30. By about 4:45, I was smoking Black and Milds like it was my job. Got home, I think my wife said I was drinking what'd you say, babe? It was a Fruit Loops vodka and a bourbon. I was double fisted. It was a tough day. But that day, that July 8th, my Independence Day, was the turning point in my life. That's when I found my purpose. So those challenges that you're going through, family, know that those challenges are preparing you to walk in your purpose, that helps solve a problem that only you can solve. And when you apply that with systems, you create wealth. And then you teach this next generation how to do the same. All right, y'all. Last thing here, my name's Perry Jeffries. The greatest inheritance you can leave your family isn't money. It's ownership of purpose, helping those young people, that next generation, your spouse, your loved one, identify what their purpose is. My brother that had the clothing line, I was vibing with you, fam, because you said it. Hey, I'm supposed to be rich if I'm living my purpose. No, you know you're living your purpose when opportunities show up that you didn't ask for. That's called provision for the vision. So the greatest inheritance you can leave your family is money. It's ownership of purpose, an abundant mindset, and proven systems. That's how you turn entrepreneurship into generational wealth. Thank you.
Create those systems. You can't just throw it in the air. It ain't gonna work.